I never knew what it was like to have a normal family. Because ever since I was young, I had a father who was never there for me. I have a wonderful mother who is always there to support me and comfort me. However, I can't say the same for my father. He was an alcoholic, and because of it, I paid a lot for the damage and pain it brought. I couldn't just be normal. I couldn't invite my friends to my house because I was scared my father would be drunk and that he would embarrass me in front of them. I was often jealous of my friends because they had dads who were there to be a part of their lives. My dad was rarely a part of my life. He was often not even home, and when he wasn't in his right state of mind because he was drunk. And even when he wasn't drinking, he shut me and my family out of his life. He would stay in his room watching TV or playing video games almost all of the time that he was home. It was as if I had been replaced by a computer. This gave me low self-esteem growing up because I felt unimportant. It broke me down, and I was often scared to come home because I knew what awaited me was only a torn family. I remember one night, I was sitting at our kitchen table while my mom was cooking dinner, and I could hear my dad teasing my sister from upstairs, and I could tell he was drunk because his words were slurred. She finally couldn't take it anymore, and she screamed at him, "Stop it, you're drunk." Me and my mom were just in shock that my sister had stood up to him. My dad yelled at her and accused her that my mom had told her that he was drunk. Then he proceeded to stomp downstairs to where my mom was standing in the kitchen. He yelled at her. I was sobbing, hunched over in my chair, when he snatched a glass bowl off the table and slammed it to the ground. He stared coldly at me, as if I didn't matter. He stomped back up the stairs and slammed the door. I didn't see him for what felt like weeks. A few years later, he was arrested under charges of domestic violence and child abuse. He had never physically hurt me, but he had said so many damaging things that by the time he was arrested, I had such a low self-esteem and self-worth that it was actually a relief to see him go. However, my father was released the next day, and he actually came back home after about a month of living with my grandpa. My dad started drinking again after returning, and I actually began to stand up to him. I told him, "This isn't okay, and I would really appreciate if you try to quit." But he didn't listen to me. Those few months he lived with us after being arrested was one of the hardest times in my life. Then, one day, my mom just had enough, and she kicked him out, followed by a divorce. I have been slowly recovering, and after months, I realized that I am important, and I do matter, and no one should ever have to feel like they are unimportant because someone makes them feel like they are worthless. I'm scared because soon I have to face my dad again for court reasons, but I know in my heart that I am strong, and that I will have the strength to stand up to him.
Growing up, I loved being a twin. I have a twin sister named Hope, and she was my best friend. My parents never had to worry about us being separated or being alone because we had each other. We'd make sure we were staying out of trouble, and we'd play by the rules, and we'd have fun. We'd have everything in common. We'd have the same friends. We'd have the same dolls. We had the same room. We did everything together. Everyone gets so interested in twins because they ask, "Oh, it must be so cool having a twin," or "I've always wanted to have a twin." But as I got older, I realized being a twin wasn't exactly as fun as I thought it was going to be. We started spreading apart. She started becoming popular, started wearing the latest trends, started having so many friends, joined the theater club, started being involved in the school and going out every night and partying. And then there was me, kind of was alone, was in her shadow. And as twins, we were expected to have the same things. If she got a car, I would get a car. If she got straight A's, everyone would look to me and expect me to get straight A's. But I fell into a depression, isolation, anxiety. I felt so horrible about myself because my parents would just brag about her at every family reunion. And then once they got to me, I just felt like they had nothing to talk about. I grew jealous of my twin sister, someone who's been by my side, and yet now I felt like she was above me. So I started wearing trends. I started trying to make those kinds of friends, but it never worked because it wasn't me. And I hate that it took years to realize this, but finally I had to look in the mirror and think to myself, I'm glad for being me. I'm glad of being an outcast. I'm glad of not being into those styles. I'm glad about having my friends with their own personality away from hers. And even though we're both in completely different places in our life, Me still recovering from my own depression and her going to college, I know we both still love each other. I know for a fact that no matter what, I will always have someone to talk to because she still is my twin sister.
When I was in the 3rd grade, I was very lonely. No one really liked me and everyone thought I was weird. Till I met this wonderful group of people named Riley, Leah, Emily, Molly, and of course, Celine. Celine, she was the gem of the group. She was creative, kind, smart. She loved pink, frilly things and ponies. And it never got old. Well, until we reached 5th grade. That's when everyone started to go through puberty. And Celine, she didn't change. Her style was the same. She liked frilly things, and her personality stayed the same too. And that's when everyone started to judge her. I didn't really expect Celine to be judged so much, people to hate her so much just because of how she dresses. And I started to join in too. I told them that I didn't like Celine and that she followed me everywhere. When the truth was, I really loved Celine. She was my best friend, and we followed each other everywhere. I'd follow her to the end of the earth, except I told people the wrong things. Celine never found out about it. Sometimes I tried to get rid of her by leaving her behind or telling her that I didn't want to play with her. And she was heartbroken because of that. I hurt her. It was until the end of 6th grade when I found out what I was doing wrong. The truth is, I was really happy to be best friends with her. I didn't care about the gossip or anything. When you find friends, remember to find ones that are very loyal to you and love you just as Celine did to me. I hope she never finds out about the days that I gossiped about her, and I hope that I'll never do it again. I'll become an amazing human being just like Celine.
Oh my god, we totally jumped out.
For 7 years of my life, I grew up in the foster system. I had to leave my mom's house because of the decisions she made to stop being there for her children. At the time, it was just me, an 8-year-old girl, and my brother, an 11-year-old, severely autistic boy. One day, the police showed up at our house. They asked me a lot of questions and then told us I would be staying at my aunt's house with her 3 kids, and my brother would go to a home to support his needs. I stayed with my aunt and her cousins for a year and a half until one day my aunt told me to pack some clothes. I thought I was going to spend some time with my other aunt and cousins, so happily I went to pack some clothes, but once I was done, I went to the front room and my aunt told me and my cousin I was going away for some time. I didn't know what that meant, but we all cried, and my caseworker showed up. My caseworker didn't tell me too much on our car right there, but for the most of the ride, I cried. Once we got there, I was greeted by someone I would soon look up to as a sister, and by more people I would soon consider my family. I lived there for 2.5 years. I wanted that to be my forever home, my forever family. But I found out my biological mom had another baby. He was only 5 months old, and the state wanted us to be together forever. I moved in with him and his foster family. I watched him grow up, cry, fuss, change his diapers. I never thought I'd have a little brother, but there he was right before my eyes. I thought that was it for our foster placements, but I was wrong. Something didn't work in that home, and we were moved after a year and a half of staying there. Now, we were with our very first white foster parent, a single mother with 3 cute but crazy kids. To say the least on that home, it didn't work, and we left. On my last day of school, we were taken to our next foster home. And our last one, thank you, Jesus. Another white family with 4 kids, a boy in the 11th grade, a girl going on 9th grade, another girl in the 7th grade, and another boy in the 5th grade. And of course, 2 parents, a mom and a dad, and 2 lovely black dogs. Those people showed me and my brother so much love and care even after our hearts were broken by so many people, so many different times. I never had a father figure in my life, so when I got to this one, I didn't really know how it felt to have a father at all. December 31st, 2014, we were adopted by these people. Being here for 2 years now, I've received lots of love and crazy rules and groundings. I'm blessed to have a place to finally call home.